Hi guys, greetings to you all. And some of you guys may wonder who I am and whether the information I give you is verifiable. Now, I can say, a hidden truth researcher, and I have had discussions with the world's famous alien contactees, such as Simon Parkes in England, and the information I give you is very accurate. Now, but as always, I will also ask you to research this information and to determine from within whether it resonates with you. That's very important, because most of the information, if you don't do some research and then see whether the information does really mean something to you or not, you will not really understand what I'm trying to say. In some ways, you really need to do some research and confirm the accuracy of the information I'm giving you guys. So today we are going to be talking about the fifth dimension, the transition times. Now, if we are moving from this third dimension planet to the fifth dimension, as we are doing right now, whether we go with our bodies physically to the fifth dimension, or we will have to die first and ascend, but within a spirit form. So these are the things I will be discussing with you. And without any further ado, we're going to start with the fifth dimension. Now, the fifth dimension, in reality, has been described as the dimension of love, living totally from the heart. It's all about love, awareness, total awareness, and living from the heart, from within, intuitive living, telepathic understanding of people. If somebody is thinking something, you will automatically know what is thinking. The awareness in telepathy. And in order to enter the fifth dimension and stay there, all the mental and emotional baggage must be left at the door. You cannot go to the fifth dimension, being very emotional and, and fear and anger and hostility and guilt. All these things are not to be found in the fifth dimension. So in order to be an aware person, you need to let go of all this, the fear, the anger, the hostility, the guilt, and let go of all the material things. You have to live. I discussed this in one of my podcasts. Like you have to have the mindfulness mind. Your mind has to be detached from all urges, needs, material needs. Now, the mastery over thought is a prerequisite. You have to be able to master your thoughts, because as usual, the negative entities, the lower astral entities, they will always try to put ideas into your mind or put negative thoughts. So you have to be very aware of your thoughts. You have to distinguish which of your thoughts are real and which are not real, because we have negative entities that are constantly feeding us with false ideas. For example, of murder, crimes, and all these kind of things. Most of the times are the negative entities that put ideas into people to do those things. So you have to be able to master and be in control of your thoughts. Manifestation in the fifth dimension, where we are moving now, because this earth is now ascending from a third dimension planet to the fifth dimension, and we have the unique advantage in this whole multiverse with billions of galaxies. We are the only planet who will ever ascend physically with our physical form from the third to the fifth dimension. So it is something to be really grateful about. And another thing in the fifth dimension is manifestation. Manifestation in the fifth dimension is instantaneous. For the humans, humans on Earth, you start to thought will become reality. When you think of something, it will manifest in front of you without any. It will be like all these science fiction movies we used to watch in those days, where people would think of food and the food just appears on the table. You think of a nice food you want to eat, and how it will just appear in front of a table and you will just eat it. So we are ascending towards that stage at this moment in time, I mentioned about telepathy. That will be also something that we will start to be aware of. And with time, we will get used to it. And this process is going till 2030. So we are still in the middle of it. We have been fighting, we have been struggling since 2012 to move through this difficult phase of transition from a third dimension planet to the fifth dimension. Because as you know, our souls have been through enormous consciousness awareness training program, as I can say. Or what I mean to say is from the pre-Adamic to the Adamic times, to the Babylonian era, to the Kemetic times of ancient Egypt, the pharaohs and all those, and then through till today. That's an evolution of consciousness. There was this barbaric nature we had before in those days, in the Roman empires and everything, but now we have evolved to a certain point where those barbaric, we don't see those, the earth is, the consciousness of the people has evolved far enough, and we have now gained a unique advantage of moving now from a third dimension planet to the fifth dimension. That's what it's all about. Evolution in consciousness, evolution of the human being, and then everything that entails in it. Because in this fifth dimension experience, the time will be like, everything will be happening at once. There will be no distinction between the past, the present, and the future. Everything will be simultaneously happening in front of your eyes without the presence of time. Time will be irrelevant. A lot of things, but that is only for those who will be aware, who are willing to let go of a lot of things I mentioned earlier, and to be aware. Many of us, are having like experiences or dreams that feel like visiting in the fifth dimension already. When we sleep, we are experiencing it already. Only the capability of remembering your dreams is also one thing. If you are able to remember them, you will be seeing your life, your former life you lived, be playing back as a tape in the dream. Because the dream is mostly part of the significant idea about the dreams at night is that it is the tapes of your past lives that are sometimes replayed in the dream. So what you see really as a dream are the tapes of your past life that it is replaying, for you to see. That's what is, according to Simon Parkes, this famous alien contactee in Great Britain. I discussed with him. I've had several discussions with him. We communicate through the Skype and everything, and most of the information I've got is also from him. And this ascension process is about courage. We need to have a disciplined mind, and without a disciplined mind, you will not be able to make it. So remember, remember to be very disciplined, and mean what you say what you mean, and try not to, be indecisive in your daily life. Now, the second item we're going to discuss, still under this awakening, is transition times. Now, or the end times, the revelation in the Bible and everything like that is all what is happening right now. This is a time, in which we are experiencing the death of the third dimension as a planet, as a dimension, as a reality, third dimension reality is coming to the end. And we are now, at the same time, beginning to travel through new and unknown landscape of the fourth dimension through to the fifth dimension. But we are moving straight to the fifth dimension. But this is the time we are beginning to face, all those, we will be seeing a lot of things, strange apparitions, strange apparitions, extinct animal will suddenly appear in places. Even extinct vegetation, will suddenly appear, strange vegetation that you never knew existed, and all those things. Those are the signs of the new, those are the signs of our transition, that the things are extinct animals and, all of those things are coming back, so we could relieve them. It's an exciting times indeed for the planet at the moment. Now, the essence of the whole structure of reality is collapsing. Reality as we know it, this 3D reality is collapsing. It's an illusion that is collapsing, in front of our eyes. And that is why the regimes, the war, from 2030 is supposed to be a world without war and fighting and everything, So, it is expected that there must be some chaos and confusion, disorientation. And as we attempt to adapt to this new reality, you go through a bumpy ride, it will not just be that easy, but being an awakened person, like I can give some example, like the famous, Jesus Christ, the Buddhas, Gandhi and all those things, those are people who could transcend all these things, and reorientate their minds, not with matter, but with spirituality. Many of us, are beginning to experience radical changes in our lives, as we enter these times, and whatever does not serve us, in shifting to the higher dimensions has to fall away. Anything that does not help or contribute with the shift you have to let go, because the earth is in the transition phase right now. Believe me or not, if you do your research, you will see that what I'm telling you is accurate. Now, this can include, the old relationships, lifetime careers, approaches to life we have traditionally taken. Some of it will be an outdated sense of identity, or any negative thoughts, and emotions that holds us in a lower vibration has to go, and fortunately enough, we can now get a great deal of help in making this transition from the sun, energies from the sun. We are getting tremendous amount of energy from the sun, from the multiverse, from the benevolent entities, our guides, and we are getting tremendous amount of energies. And also, we got the Pleiades star constellation, the Lyrans star constellation. They are also here to assist us in this ascension. Now, the third item we're going to discuss is are we going to take our bodies with us to the fifth dimension? Because as in the case in other places, in other constellations, it's only the spirit that ascends most of the time, but we are in a unique advantage or position whereby we will ascend physically. And now, there are people who are still confused about this, it is from all the information I've got, it's roughly the first time that souls in general incarnate in a planet, in a physical vehicles, physical form, to the higher dimension, because by doing this is just a next step into the evolution of humanity. This is just the next step. So, and during this time, it's really important for us to take good care of our bodies at this time. And the radical transformation can be hard on the body. You're going to face pains, headaches, exhaustion, flu-like symptoms. These are all going to come around, but they are all designed. They are things that are supposed to happen for you to ascend, because the body will be struggling to adjust from this dense reality. We are into a much semi-dense reality. That is just what it is. You're supposed to feel lighter as you're moving, as you're ascending to this next reality. That is just from the very dense state to a semi-dense state. That is what it is, And if you feel that this information I've just given you resonates with you or has something to do with you, I please plead with you to do some more research. Go to the internet, search, and see whether what I'm saying is correct. And see whether it, if you are really interested in this article, it means you are either consciously or unconsciously with the shift from from this third to the fifth dimension, and you have no choice than just to keep on that track. Do some more research and try to be awakened. Let go of fear, anger, pornography, and all those kind of things, because those are where the entities feed on. We've got entities on this planet who feed on fear, they feed on hate, they feed on violent, crimes, wars, sexual activities, so they feed on these things. So I will please, urge you to check within yourselves, see whether the information means something to you. If you feel it means, if you get that feeling that your consciousness, something has been telling you that the things are not right, it means you are on the right track. You should just do some little bit more research and try to see how you could change your style of living. Because as we ascend, another thing I wanted to remind you guys is that as we ascend, we will start to have less and less interest in food. Food, we will be eating less and less. So it is something you have to experience and see if it's already in you, and maybe you didn't know because of the programming we have here on this planet about food and everything. Try to sit without food for a couple of days, and you will see that nothing is going to happen. For those who are beginning to be aware, nothing. You will just be okay. You will not feel any hunger. You will not feel an urge for anything. So now this is it for today, and I wish to thank you guys, and may God bless.